FanDuel. Now hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss out. If you want to be covered on the best conference in college football and maybe college basketball too. We'll see. Throughout the entire year of 2026, we're going to have Big Ten football and basketball updates, videos all along the way through the off season. We're going to start breaking down spring ball battles in this episode. Doing a bit of a spring ball preview here on Oregon and different things that you could expect to see from Big Ten football teams, because spring ball is literally right here. It's now. We have got teams getting into spring ball. A lot of exciting stuff. We're going to continue giving you high school recruiting updates as well. Get some more into those in this episode here, and Big Ten basketball transfer portal updates, rumors for the Big Ten, which we have on this show as well. Not predictions, just rumors. This point, be hard to predict it right now. So I know right now it's a lot, but hey, it shows for you, and we don't want you to miss out on anything going on in the Big Ten, and we have you covered here at the Big Ten Huddle. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, just so we know. Hit the like button so we know what's going on with you. What do you like? What don't you like? And you can best believe we will have you covered on your team and more. The Big Ten is going to win another natty this year in football, so you might as well start hearing about it now. Hit the subscribe button so you can join the fastest growing Big Ten football and basketball channel at the Big Ten Huddle. Also, 5-star rating and review on the podcast platform of your choice also helps as well. Let's get into the show. Starting off, let's discuss 3 Big Ten players rumored to be eyeing the transfer portal. Not only are we inching toward the madness of the March Madness, but we're also getting closer to the madness of the transfer portal with rumors of players planning to enter the portal. You know how it is in college hoops. The portal is the unpredictable storm. It's the cloud hanging over every program, ready to strike, ready to pour down rain of changes as soon as the season ends. In some team seasons, their end is coming sooner than others. And right now, 3 names are beginning to pop up more than others in the Big Ten. These guys are all different spots in their careers, with all 3 different teams doing different things right now. But the whispers about them eyeing the portal are getting pretty louder and louder by the day, it seems like. I'll break down the player by player. And look, before we get into this and someone tells me not to push players into the portal or anything like that, I'm not pushing anyone to the portal, okay? Just talking about teams and rumors of guys who might not be back next year. These guys are basically pros at this point, okay? They're getting paid a lot of money, and this stuff happens. Like this, we had entire teams in the Big Ten have to change their entire roster last year. So I'm not disparaging anyone, just discussing the possibilities, because there's rumors out there that could happen that we do need to be prepared for. All right, first up, Andrej Stojaković, the son of sharpshooter NBA legend Peja Stojaković. Andre's situation at Illinois is the one that's got the most people talking at this point. And honestly, it's a bit of a head scratcher. A head scratcher mixed in with some classic portal drama as well. Back in April of 2025, he dipped into the portal from Cal with that do not contact tag, which basically means he likely either knew he had an idea of where he wanted to go or where he wanted to land, or he just wanted to contact the teams of where he wanted to go. So he picked Illinois over heavy hitters like North Carolina, even Stanford. There was a possibility of going back to his old stomping grounds because the Illini staff sold him on being the cornerstone of a national title push. And let's be real, Illinois, they are a legit contender this year. FanDuel has them at plus 1,800 odds. That is 6th best in the country to win the entire thing, which isn't too shabby considering the firepower in the conference. But fast forward to now, late in the 2025-2026 season, things aren't super clicking for Andre. That was a terrible way. Things aren't clicking for Andre as much as we thought they would. Andre had a monster sophomore year at Cal, dropping nearly 18 points per game on super efficient shooting, lighting it up from everywhere. They got him the hype, the NIL deals, and then the move to Champaign. But at Illinois, he's averaging just 13.5 points per game, less than 24% 3-point shooting from three. It's a huge dip. I mean, he was over 30% last year. The last 2 years, he was over 30%. And it isn't just the injury bug that is biting him hard, although he has missed time twice this season, including those games in the middle of the year of Wisconsin and Indiana, where folks started speculating, kind of right away. I remember Sleepers Media, they were the first ones that I heard hinting at the possible tension between Andre and the staff if the injury was minor and maybe he decided to sit out anyway. No concrete proof on any of that there, but looked like they may have been onto a little something, and that's kind of another area where some of these rumors are abounding from. So now he's coming off the bench, not just easing back in though. In those early returns against Florida Gulf Coast and Texas Tech, he was logging 24 minutes a night, kind of steadily getting back into the rotation. Now in the last 4 games, he's averaging under 20 minutes per game. I don't think this is rehab mode. I think this is a straight up lineup shift for the Illini at this point. And you can bet Peja's not super thrilled with this development. Rumors say the family's been vocal behind the scenes about his utilization. This isn't new for Andre. He's danced with the portal rumors before. Remember, like I said last year, this happened. Stanford, after his freshman year as well. After his freshman year, he bolted for Cal amid rumors and whispers of wanting more shots and a bigger role. Then at Cal, similar vibes popped up late into the season and even late into the portal cycle. He stuck it out for a little bit, but then ended up transferring again. The parallel here, or the parallel there, where those teams were struggling. Stanford and Cal were nowhere near the tournament locks at that point. And I think they both finished with 14 wins on the year. Illinois is different. They got a real shot, and not just at the Sweet 16, not just at the Elite Eight. They could go beyond those as well. But if the plan was for Andre to boost his NBA stock and go pro after this year, it's not panning out the way they thought it would. His shooting percentages have slipped. Scouts are cooling off on him, and his minutes have been reduced. And if you want to look at the evil NIL for all this as well, and Illinois isn't going to pay him the top dollar for next year for a bench player role. I mean, they paid him top dollar to be the cornerstone of this team. Now he's coming off the bench. He's still a scorer, though, so Andre should have other options. It's for that reason, unless we see his usage increase, I think we're going to see him in a new uniform come next season. Maybe back in the ACC or somewhere where he can maybe be the alpha. Maybe it's not a national contender, but it's someplace he can go showcase his skills. But hey, Illinois might just be just fine. All right. They've got depth, portal magic that keeps them humming. And I don't think there's any panic in Champaign about this right now. But time will tell. Time will tell. Be sure you also show us your appreciation for this content. Please do like the video. Help us know what content you like to see or don't like to see, so that way we can know how to give you the best show possible here at the Big Ten Huddle. All right. Shifting gears to number 2, Gabe Cupps at Ohio State. Man, this one's tough. It's tough because Gabe's got that gritty, never quit motor that you love in a Big Ten guard. The problem is he just doesn't really have the skill set. He's a gritty guy. He's been a good defender in his career, but he's from Dayton, Ohio. He's a kid from there through and through. He showed defensive flashes his freshman year, started 22 games more out of necessity than anything else, but he has the effort. He has the intensity. The guy's like a bulldog on the perimeter, hounding ball handlers and making life miserable for those guys out there. But this season, it's been a rough ride. He been a real rough ride. Gabe has more personal fouls than points scored so far this season, more hacks than his own buckets, which isn't the stat line you want in a conference as physical as the Big Ten. His offense hasn't evolved like people hoped it would, and he's struggling to create his own shot. And even that defense has started to take a step back this season with his fouls piling up. Rival fans are having a field day, sharing his TikTok dance clips and all those things, and trying to poke fun at him and poke fun at the team. But it's just noise. But this kind of stuff can get to players, and I don't know if it's gotten to Gabe Cupps, but it may have. So the portal rumors here stem from straight up practicality. Word is Ohio State's NIL collective doesn't want to, kind of renew the deal they had for him last year. Not because they're cheap, but because the Buckeyes need to allocate their resources properly. Gabe wants minutes, real playing time for his last 2 years of eligibility, or if he does want minutes, if he does want real playing time for his last 2 years of eligibility, to get that, he may need to drop down to a lower level, somewhere like the A10, where maybe he goes to Dayton, hometown kid nearby. Maybe he goes to the MAC, goes to a different Ohio squad there. It's not rude to say, but Gabe just he's not clicking at a Big Ten caliber level right now, and forcing minutes could hurt the team. It's not, it's kind of crazy, but it just feels like this happens with an Ohio State guard every year. Last year it was Meechie Johnson. Before him, it was DJ Carton. Evidence backs this up. Gabe's usage is poor. Fouls are up, and the Buckeyes are fighting for a tourney spot. There's positive vibes all around. Ohio State's got young talent brewing, and Gabe's moves, if Gabe moves, it's a win-win, in my opinion. He gets the ball out. The OSU frees up their shots and spots for other guys in the portals. Ultimately, if he wants to play, I do think he probably needs to move on. It's not like he's a bad teammate or anything like that, so I don't think they wouldn't have him back, but the Buckeyes will stay strong either way. Finally, number 3, Jackson Shelstad at Oregon. This one's more speculation than smoke, but it's juicy because the Ducks are going to be in rebuild mode next year. Jackson's an in-state kid, a talented guard who's been tempted by the portal before, but he stuck with it in Eugene. But this season, he was cut short. He had a nasty hand injury, ligament damage against Omaha back, I think it was December 28th in 2025, right before January. That sidelined him completely. He's pushing for a medical red shirt, which would give him 2 more years of eligibility instead of just the 1. And local reports say they are expecting him to return for next season, but Oregon's had a brutal year, sitting near the bottom of the standings, and with vets like Nate Biddle graduating, roster turnover looking to be inevitable. Coach Dana Altman, he's kind of facing some of those retirement whispers. He's denying them. Look, they're not as wild as they were with Fran McCaffrey or anything like that in his saga last year, but enough to make fans and media wonder if a fresh voice could maybe spark things up here for this team. People are saying that Jackson might bolt if the red shirt gets approved, chasing a bigger NIL payday. Elsewhere, point guards are a hot commodity in the portal. I mean, let's just be honest about it. They are somebody that a lot of teams go after. Someone is bound to overpay for a point guard with experience like Jackson Shelstad. His limited play this year didn't show massive leaps, but he's still that quick, shifty player who showed that his freshman year. He's improved a bit, but is limited by his size and his defense. Last offseason in April 2025, similar hearsay started to circulate, but he eventually re-upped with a new deal. I don't think I'll trust Jackson is returning until we see another thing with a new deal. If Jackson goes, I think Kwame Evans Jr. might follow as well. If he stays, it stabilizes things and could help out Dana Altman for next year, giving him a bit of a core. But we'll see if Oregon's resources can come through for him. Their basketball money is not at football level for them. So spreading NIL thin makes sense rather than making big splurges on guys that were injured or didn't play well last year. Fans are kind of split on this. Some want the reset, some want going to shop for the portal and the shooters and the holdovers. They want to keep guys like Lynn Cook and Egg Demir, I believe is how you pronounce it. My hunch is that Oregon will decide if Jackson leaves or stays. With the injury, Jackson might get offered a good amount of money, but Oregon should be able to counter with anything he gets offered. And with Shelstad being from Oregon, I think he'll want to stay if it makes sense for him to do so, especially if he can get that extra year of eligibility. But credit to Nate Biddle for rushing back to be out there with his guys. Guys earn my respect for doing that, and even this tough season out there. But if Jackson stays, watch them climb. If not, Altmaier's a wizard at rebuilding, wrapping things up on this portal. The portal's a beast that keeps the Big Ten evolving. And while losing talent stings, it opens the doors for fresh blood. Stojakovic's bench role screams mismatch. Cupps might need a reset, and Shelstad's injury could be hindering him going forward. But these programs are all in different places. Illinois is chasing the title. Ohio State is grinding. Oregon is rebuilding. Keep an eye on this. March is here, but the drama is just heating up. What do you think? Will they stay? Will they go? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. We'll be right back after this. Spring ball has started up, which means it's time to talk through a little bit of spring ball previews with some different people that know their teams very, very well. And my guy, Ryan Winters, knows his team, the Oregon Ducks, very well. Ryan Winters over there at Sports Chat 503. Go check him out. Love Ryan's show. He does a great job, interacts with the chat. Ryan, you put on a great product, man. How do you do it?
Oh man, just gotta love the game, JR. You guys gotta stay. You gotta stay committed.
There you go. There you go. Sports Chat 503. Anything else you want to tell people to go find?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm on the Duck football thing most of the time. I'll talk Duck basketball when there's something to talk about. Not so much this year. Throughout the regular season is the best thing to get me. And then Tuesday night live streams. Tuesday night 5:30 on the Pacific Coast time.
There you go. All right. Hey, Ryan, got a lot of interesting stuff with Oregon coming up this season as the Oregon Ducks do bring back a good amount of their production, their players from last year, bring back a guy like Evan Stewart, who didn't produce last year, but is an incredibly talented player and could play a huge role in the team this year. But the biggest talking point is Dante Moore. So Dante Moore, he's returning. He was a top 2 projected pick in the NFL draft when he decided to come back. But he is somebody that needs a little bit of work, as does pretty much every quarterback in college football out there, even guys like Julian Sayin, Trinidad Chambliss. I think those are my top 3 quarterbacks in the country right now. But what are your key improvements that you think Dante Moore needs to make for Oregon to accomplish their goals? Anything that you're looking out for, kind of in the spring practice rumors and stuff like that for Dante Moore?
Well, a guy in his position, you can only get so much production, and where people are going to give you all your flowers and everything else. Guy had a really good year last year. He had led a really good offense. They had a good defense. They were one of the best teams in the country. And so, strike while the iron's hot. That was always the old school scenario, right? Well, now I think it's more about preparation. I think now it's about, I want to be able to be as prepared as I can before I have that opportunity in the pros, because now it's all about trying to get to that second contract in the NFL. It's trying to get to a good team where you can have some success early on, or it's to get to a team where you have a guy who's already there that you can sit behind for a year, maybe, and have the tutelage to be able to bring you in. But he talks about it over and over and over. It's about preparation. He's trying to get himself as prepared as possible, because in his mind, there's no preparation on the next level. You have to be ready to go on the next level. You can't sit and wait and try to get prepared there. You got to do as much preparation now. So I think the quarterback's best friend is always protection. You got to be able to identify pre-snap read. You got to be able to get your protection right. He did get caught in a couple games this year, especially against Indiana. A couple times we saw there where there was a lot of pressure on him, and he didn't do very well in that pressure. He had a tough time stepping up in the pocket and avoiding the pressure. And the sacks came out to play at the worst possible time for this Ducks team. So I think going forward, he throws a really nice deep ball. He manages the offense very well. If you want to call him a game manager, which I don't think is that big of an insult for a quarterback, but his deep ball is on point. He's a clutch performer. He throws the ball really well in really clutch situations. The game slows down for him. These are all the things that are the reason why he's projected to be that. And his height and weight, his stature, his speed, all that kind of stuff all checks out. But I think the biggest thing he's got to do is work on pre-snap reads, understanding where the protection is, understanding where to put his guys into position so he can protect himself more than anything else.
Yeah, and what do you think offense-wise? Mehringer is how you pronounce it, right? Drew Mehringer? Mehringer, thank you. Mehringer's coming in. Obviously, Will Stein goes on to Kentucky and goes from there. I mean, Dante Moore, he's worked in several different offenses. He was with Chip Kelly, then he comes over here to Oregon. Now he's going to be here with Drew in this one. I mean, do you foresee the offense being a lot different? Do you think he'll be comfortable in this kind of offense? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's going to be totally different. Drew Mehringer was a guy who was a quarterback when he played. He's been a tight ends coach at Oregon for years now. He had a really good group. His tight ends group is one of the best on the offensive side, produced absolute studs. And I think he's going to be a great quarterback coach. I think he's going to be a great offensive coordinator. I think he's going to try to push the ball downfield maybe a little bit more than Will Stein, just being a former quarterback and seeing things through that lens a little bit. But they're still going to try to stick the ball in the running back's hands and run the ball as much as they can. This is a team that's always been predicated on the run. This has got a really good running back stable. They got guys in there that can really make things work. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's, again, kind of a 50-50 split. Probably less on the screen game, maybe. Will Stein loved the screen game a little bit. Extension of the running game, a little bit out of the backfield with the passing. But I would expect to see a little bit more vertical with this year's Duck offense.
Yeah, and Jordan Davison's the perfect running back to have back there with you. Good pass protector, good physical ability as well, and definitely somebody that they're going to be able to trust handing the ball off to in those different kind of situations to give a change up. You mentioned throwing the ball down the field more. In order to do that, you need to have an excellent offensive line. Oregon did have an excellent offensive line last season. Has struggled in a few games here and there, but what offensive line doesn't? It's what happens. It's offensive line play. It happens. So you lose Isaiah World, Alex Harkey, Emmanuel Pregnon. Was there anybody else you guys lost?
That's it.
That's it. So what are your thoughts on, what are you expecting out of the offensive line? Different guys coming in. Poncho coming back is huge.
Yeah.
I thought that was excellent for the center of this offensive line. But just what are you expecting? Do you have any thoughts on who might be the starters this next season?
Yeah, so from my perspective, I think Fox Crater's the guy you want to take a look at. He's probably going to fill that left tackle spot. I know there was a lot of discussion around Jordan Seaton and where might happen. We were talking about this the last time we chatted. That was kind of right around when he was making the decision of where to go. But I think Fox Crater did a really good job when he filled in for Isaiah on the left side. I think actually you might have a chance to see Manny Anacho start on the right-hand side. The guy is an absolute freak. He's really, really good player. Looks like he's ready to go body-wise. And I think that was always the thing historically about bringing in freshman offensive linemen. They just weren't ready with their physique to handle the rigors of D1 college football. And this guy's huge. And but I think you're probably going to have something similar what you've seen up front. Obviously, Poncho's your center. Dave Yuli's there. The left guard might be an interesting one. You were thinking it's probably going to be Kavika Rogers, but Douglas Utu might be that guy. Douglas has played very well. And so, again, you've got a lot of different things, moving parts there a little bit. I expect to see the right side be pretty legit, kind of a competition between Janoris Wilson and Manny Anacho. I think that those are the two names to kind of look for there. But I think Fox Crater is going to be a guy who's really going to surprise some people on how good he's been and how good he's developed on that left side tackle.
He filled in for Isaiah World when he was
Correct.
Injured last season too, right?
Correct. Yeah, numerous times.
Yeah.
Isaiah being a real big guy had a little trouble with his ankle a couple different times, and then hurt his knee in the final game. Actually, tore the ACL in the final game against Indiana.
That's rough. Well, if there's anybody that I trust with offensive line play, it's Alik Terry, one of the best, if not the best offensive line coaches in the country. I've said that on here multiple times because I do truly believe it. I nicknamed him. You tell me what you think about the nickname here with college football. Sam, I was talking to him. I said, Elite Terry. That's what we call him, right?
Yeah. He's an absolute stud. And the young guys who've come in have been fantastic. Trent Ferguson is another guy. Put your name on. Zaire Addison, another guy. He's come on my channel, talk about his story. And I think the names just keep coming. This year, you had a really good class of offensive linemen come in. You got basically your future center coming in, same high school as Poncho Farrington over in Hawaii there. And you've got Tommy Tofi, an absolute beast. Guy's about 6'7", 380, just an absolute mammoth human being. And so, again, I think the key concept historically has always been these high school guys, they need time to hit the weights. They need time to hit the meal plan to get right. And now you're seeing guys, they need to shed weight when they come into a freshman year. That's pretty outstanding situation for an offensive line coach.
Oh, for sure. And he's recruiting that way as well. He sees it and he knows what he wants out there in the recruiting streets as well. All right. Last question here, and then we'll get you out of here, Ryan. All right. So this Oregon defense is a lot coming back. Brandon Finney, you add Coy Parrish. I think the secondary is going to be very good. You bring back the entire defensive line. You bring back a good amount of linebackers as well. Bryce Betcher moves on, but other than that, you got a ton of guys back on this defense, but you do switch the defensive coordinator as as well. We talked about maybe Oregon throwing the ball deep a little bit more on offense. I know one thing that fans wanted to see was some more pressure on the quarterback. And like I said, you bring back the entire defensive line. Do you think that the new defensive coordinator for Hampton, that's right, Chris Hampton,
Chris Hampton,
do you think he is going to be able to bring a whole lot more pressure and get more pressure on the quarterback and kind of give the Ducks fans what they were wanting?
I would hope, because again, I think that is kind of the elephant in the room a little bit. You have such great defensive linemen and defensive ends, and kind of saw the production go down a little bit from this last year to the year before, when you saw Mateo come out with 10 sacks, or maybe 10 plus sacks in 1 year. And I do think there's also something to be said about the system. Dan Lanning likes to have kind of some exotic blitzes, some exotic pressures. The simulated pressures is a big deal. I think it's kind of all over college football, but he likes to try to get pressure with 4 guys from a variety of different 4 guys. And it might not always be your prototype defensive ends rushing on either side and your defensive tackles rushing up the middle. It can be a safety in a late blitz. It can be a linebacker. It can be an outside backer. He tries to play it in a variety of different ways. And I think that sometimes a little bit that too much creativity can kind of cause you to lose out of some stats. I think that if you were to let your horses go in the same direction every single time, I think you're probably going to have some better pressures than what they do there. They drop back some of their defensive ends. They have some of the defensive ends go back with tight ends in motion, and they just do some different stuff there that, I kind of am a traditionalist. I'd like to see my best pass rushers pass rush every single down rather than them going out in coverage. But sometimes the offense dictates that term, and you're going to have to kind of go follow a tight end or even a wide receiver in the backfield, which would be crazy to think about. But it's happened before. Mateo Youngale had a great pass breakup in the Wisconsin game out there. And so again, weird things happen, but yeah, you would like to see a little more pressure. The real question mark, I think, is going to be in the linebacker core. Obviously, there's going to be some guys who are going to come up and are going to get an opportunity to play that position and fill some roles there. But losing a guy like Bryce Betcher is a big deal, and a guy who really solidified that defense. So who's going to be the next guy to step up in that role? You'd assume it's going to be Jerry Mixon. Braden Platt's going to probably get a lot of play there as well, but I think the linebacker core is going to be just as big of a question going into this spring, and then obviously into the fall this next coming year, as with that pressure. I think you're really good with your front 4. You know exactly what you've got. I think they're going to do a really good job with contain, but I do think they need to get the pressures up.
Love it. All right, Ryan, man, you are the man. We appreciate you coming in here, talking some Oregon football with us. Listen, I'm not going to put national title or bust on this team or anything, but I mean, am I wrong? This feels like Michigan 2023. This feels like Ohio State 2024 a little bit. Is that what the Duck fans are thinking as well?
Yeah, I mean, you've got basically both sides if you want to think about the aisle of the Duck fans, where you have the maybe the bandwagon fans and the old school traditionalists, and obviously I'm on the old school side. I think there's some common consensus that everybody kind of agrees that, or the next step is either going to the national championship and losing in heartbreaking fashion, or getting to the national championship and actually taking home the hardware. And I really do think that this could be the year. You gotta tip the cap to the rest of the country, though, man. Everybody's trying to get this championship. That's why spring practice is so fun for everybody. Everybody thinks they can do it, and there's no zeros on the loss and win column yet. I do think, though, that the schedule shakes out pretty well. It's a difficult schedule in places. That one big game against Ohio State out there at your guys' place is going to be the game of the year, and I'll be there. I'm excited as hell for that one. If the Ducks can move past that one and find themselves maybe in the driver's seat of the Big Ten, or do what kind of happened this year, where you lose that game maybe to the top team, maybe Ohio State's in the driver's seat, the Ducks find themselves in that first loss column out of the top 4, automatic qualifiers that bye, and they do what they did this year, where they get to host a home game. I think you've seen it both ways. If you're a Duck fan, that's just pretty cool. You've had 2 years of the 12-team playoff, and you've been the number 1 seed and the number 5 seed. I think those are the 2 best places to be in. What would happen this year if you were in the top 4 with a bye? What happens if you're in the next 4 with the home game? I think a lot to be determined there, but I think a lot of Duck fans would agree And that's very rare to have all these Duck fans on different sides of the aisle agree on something. But I do think they're going to agree that this is the year that we'd like to see them take that next step. And that next step is obviously the national championship.
That it is, and I'm a big Dan Lanning fan here. I had my I was skeptical of James Franklin last season. I was not skeptical enough. Apparently, I don't think anybody was skeptical enough of how that played out. But I do think Dan Lanning is going to get his national championship eventually. We'll see if it's this year or not. But Ryan, thank you so much for coming in here, talking with us about it, and everybody will come back right after this. Be right back. Recruiting buzz should get Iowa fans' blood pumping right now. Real tangible predictions for Kirk Ferentz that's got the Hawkeyes poised to keep punching above their weight in the Big Ten. I am super high on this Hawkeye team right now, and I'm super high on the recruiting of the Iowa Hawkeyes right now. Just yesterday, Alan True, who made the move over from 24/7 Sports to Rivals, dropped some fresh expert predictions, and they're all pointing toward heavy good news for Iowa, landing 3 top targets for them in the 2027 class. Offensive tackle Mason Halliman from Local Way East in Illinois. Defensive lineman Tommy Riordan, I believe is how you pronounce it, from Hinsdale Central, also in Illinois. And then in-state offensive tackle Nate Brenneman out of Rock Valley. This isn't smoke, though. This isn't just smoke. True has got a good track record of nailing his calls, and he's favoring the Hawkeyes over key rivals like Iowa State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Illinois based on his relationship, based on the staff and the players' relationships, visits, and program fits that are coming up. Iowa right now is like a well-oiled machine in action. Let's go and start with Halliman because this kid's a beast. 6'5", 280 pounds. He's rated as a high 3-star on 24/7 Sports with an 89 composite score, sitting just below 4-star territory at number 21 among offensive tackles nationally and number 12 in Illinois. And that's no small feat in a state with a lot of talent in this cycle. Halliman has a long-standing rapport with the Iowa staff. He's been on, they've been on him ever since his freshman days, emphasizing Iowa's legendary offensive line development. Iowa turns out offensive linemen like no other. You don't need to hear me talk about Tristan Wirfs and Tyler Lindenbaum. I mean, these guys they're guys right now that are dominating the NFL, and a lot of it has to do with their excellent development they receive at Iowa. The program knows how to build monsters in the trenches, but it's not a done deal yet. He's got a top 6 that does include Penn State, who's pushing really hard for him on a multi-day visit late in March, and Illinois is trying to keep him home as well. Still, True's prediction leans toward Iowa because of the Midwest pool, staying close to family, playing in the best conference in college football. And get this, Halliman's arrow is pointing up as well with his ratings. His ratings jumped after a strong camp showing where he dominated in pass protection drills, allowing 0 sacks in team session. Then there's Tommy Riordan, something like that. Another Illinois Jim at 6'4", 240 pounds, pegged as a 3-star edge rusher with an 87 rating on 24/7 Sports, ranking number 49 at his position and number 27 in the state. What makes him special are his family ties. Tommy's younger brother, or his brother, Gene Riordan, is an incoming Hawkeye offensive lineman. That's a great way to build this relationship through Gene's recruitment. They were able to do that with some in-home visits, campus tours as well, the whole 9 yards, all that stuff. You start recruiting the brother as well a little bit there too. Tommy's not just riding coattails though. He's a legit prospect planning on an official visit to Iowa City. His bond with the staff is rock solid, but Wisconsin is in the mix for him as well. They hosted him for their junior day where he met one-on-one with coaches like Luke Fickell and got coached up on their defense to be able to see how that would turn out for him. But they seem to envision him as more of an outside linebacker rather than an edge rusher. Still, I was in a great spot here because of the brotherly connection, the program's edge and development, versatility for linemen. If you look at their sack totals last season, top 15 nationally, 38 with 38, showing just how disruptive that team was and how much they can get to the quarterback. Guys like Riordan to disrupt And don't sleep on Nate Brenneman either. The other one I mentioned, he's the in-state monster at 6'7", 250 pounds, another 3-star with an 87 rating, number 70 offensive tackle nationally, number 8 player in Iowa. This one's got that classic Hawkeye feel, growing up in Cyclone country, but leaning toward the black and gold, according to Alan True. You have to like Iowa here after Iowa State's entire staff is moving, not their entire staff, but a lot of their staff moving to Penn State. But Kansas is hosting him for an official visit in June. Brenneman's family has Cyclone roots, attending games as a kid, all that good stuff. But Iowa's got the first official on June 5th, and they could be the team to beat, especially if you're trying to think about your development, young man. Iowa, much better place than Iowa State. He's a priority for Iowa's line coach, George Barnett, and it makes sense when you see his frame and his upside as well. He has raw power with quick feet and his high school stats where he pancaked defenders on 80% of his run blocking snaps last season. 80%. That's insane. It's the classic of Ferentz's blueprint: identity, in-state talent, or identify in-state talent early, sell the stability, win the battle. Bottom line, this news is huge for Iowa, bolstering the lines where games are won the most, keeping the pipeline strong amid the NIL madness going on out there. And Ferentz keeps building sustainability, and these predictions from True reflect that. Keep an eye on those visits. If they go well, the Hawkeyes might just have their next wave of trench warriors locked in. Now, if you're an Ohio State fan, you are also excited and grinning ear to ear right now because the recruiting winds are shifting in a big way for the Buckeyes. And it all starts with the massive recruiting buzz around 5-star running back. That's right, David Gabriel Georges. If you are somebody who follows Ohio State recruiting, you know this name very well. He's the Canadian kid out of Baylor School in Tennessee, the number 21 overall recruit in the 2027 class, and the number 2 running back nationally per Rivals. And it's not just hype. He is an elite talent that will be a game changer wherever he goes. And the top insiders at Rivals are all unanimously locked in on him going to Ohio State. Steve Wiltfong, who's got his finger on the pulse with everything in college football recruiting, has been writing the Buckeyes for over a month now. Adam Gorney echoes Wiltfong's take, highlighting the priority that Ohio State has placed on him, the rock-solid relationship he has with Carlos Lachlan. Greg Biggins agrees as well, as these are guys with being unanimous here. And they all align like this. It's a great sign for fans in Columbus. But here's where it gets even juicier, because this isn't just about snagging one blue chip guy, one 5-star. You get plenty of 5-stars at Ohio State. This isn't just about one guy. Ohio State is positioning themselves for a haul in 2027, and Georges is the next step in the domino effect. They've already got commitments from other stud, that 5-star edge rusher, DJ Jacobs, number 1 overall prospect in the class, 6'5", 225 pounds of pure disruption from Georgia. Defensive linemen from Georgia have worked out pretty well for Ohio State. Ask Katie McDonald. He committed back in December, choosing the Buckeyes over heavyweights like Miami and Georgia. And insiders on sites are saying that defensive line coach Larry Johnson's development magic has been the clincher, because Larry Johnson has no intention of retiring anytime soon. Guy's in his 70s, and he's not retiring anytime soon because he loves ball that much. Then there's Jameer Brown, the 5-star wideout from Ohio, ranked number 12 nationally, number 3 at his position. He's got blazing fast speed, NFL ready hands. He's been committed since 2024. And even with some schools coming after him hard, Notre Dame, he stayed solid on Ohio State. These aren't depth fillers. These are instant impact type of guys. You get them on the roster, and they could step on campus and contribute right away. And let's not bury the lead here either. This surge feels like it's fueled by something deeper than just coaching charm. Remember last season, Ohio State fans, if you were an Ohio State fan, you were probably feeling this, or at least seeing it. they were wringing their hands because the Buckeyes hovered around that top 10. Oh no, top 10, whatever will we do in the 2026 recruiting rankings for most of the cycle. I get it, Ohio State fans. It's just funny, okay? Top 10. Oh no, that's terrible. But they closed strong, finishing number 4 nationally with 5 5-stars in the mix, and everybody was super happy after that with all those 5-stars. And how could you not be? Great recruiting, great not development, but great scene of talent with a lot of those 5-stars moving into that range. It wasn't by accident, and especially when you look at the winning the national championship, that typically delivers its biggest recruiting punch, not the direct year after, not immediately, but in the cycle after the one following the win. You see, relationships take time to build, and the title glow lingers on, drawing these kids to who they want to be a part of in the next chapter of their life. You think back to the last time this happened for Ohio State after the 2014 title, their big recruiting class was 2016. That class jumped to number 4, loaded with talent, and it kept them contending. History's repeating itself here. History's repeating itself here time and time again, and it's a beautiful thing. More importantly, though, Ohio State's shaking off those old conservative shackles they had when it came to revenue sharing and NIL last season. Last cycle, they played it safe, staying under the $20.5 million cap, like good little Boy Scouts they were, with, no, don't bend the rules. Other people were bending the rules like pretzels, but athletic director Ross Bjork, he hated it. He hated it, and the fans hated him too, blaming him for all the issues of recruiting and everything else, only to find out that he was as frustrated by the limitations as everybody else. In interview, he was being very blunt. He was saying things like, why cap yourself when no one else is enforcing it? Why have a cap if people don't follow it? Why are we following it if nobody else is? I mean, he was saying stuff like this all over the place, basically calling out the hypocrisy of other schools, and he's spot on. If you look at Ohio State's budget, they got dragged through the mud for paying a roster $20 million, only to have reports of nearly $40 million rosters this year. Bjork's made it clear they're recalibrating to fund football at a level other elite programs are as well, sharing revenue across key programs like football, basketball, and they're funding volleyball as well to start. We'll see how that goes. I've heard that this year NIL is back in full swing for the Buckeyes. No more self-imposed limitations. Now, that might not be exactly the way it was with the foundation and stuff like that, but let's just say they aren't going to be afraid of the limitations anymore. They're not going wild with a money gun, firing it everywhere or anything like that. No, they're being strategic, but the key is freedom here, and freedom to go out after the best without any handcuffs on. So what does this mean on the field? The targets they're chasing, Georges, Jacobs, and Brown, they aren't projects you pay and pray on or anything like that. These are ready-made contributors, depth pieces who can plug in an elevated roster and contribute, not just be somebody who's sitting behind the other guys, but also be able to contribute for depth reps as well. No more paid away or anything like that. If you're getting the bag, you're expected to ball out, at least be game ready for the Buckeyes in the next season. And if Ohio State loses a kid over NIL dollars, I wouldn't even sweat it. It probably means they're saving that cash for a portal stud who can deliver now. That's not going to make you feel great in the moment, but overall, this isn't just Ohio State's might get another 5-star or anything. This is the Buckeyes being unshackled, roaring back like a lion who's tested his freedom after too long in the cage. They're not restrained anymore. And in the Big Ten jungle, it's the kind of shift that turns contenders into dynasties. Fans, buckle up. This recruiting momentum could be the fuel for another title run. And that'll do it here on this episode of the Big Ten Huddle. Thank you so much for joining me and listening. My voice is going out, so I'm just going to end this episode here. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.